The Seattle Seahawks ranked number 2 overall on PFF grades in the entire NFL. And I want to break it down, talk about all the different players that are playing well, the positions that are playing well, and how the Seahawks found themselves at this number 2 overall grade in the entire NFL. Many people did not expect this from the Seahawks. And these games haven't been perfect. They haven't been pretty by any means. Let's just compare the number 1 team overall, which is the New Orleans Saints, to the Seattle Seahawks, who are number 2 overall on PFF grades. This tells you that the Seahawks have not been perfect. The New Orleans Saints have scored 91 points and only given up 29. Now, depends on opponents, obviously. Some teams get hot. But that's a big difference from the Seahawks, who have a +9 differential at 49 points scored while giving up 40. So the Saints are, just dominating people, but the Seahawks find themselves right below them, only 2-point grades behind them for the number 1 spot in the NFL. And it is interesting. 3 teams you would not expect to be in the top 3 after 2 weeks into the NFL season. It's the New Orleans Saints at number 1, the Seattle Seahawks at 2, and the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold at number 3. Those 3 teams are above number 4, the San Francisco 49ers. Everyone else below the 49ers, 3 teams, Chargers, Steelers, Texans, are all 2-0, but the 49ers, they're still graded really well despite a loss. And then you have the Cardinals there at number 8 at 1-1. So this division is not going to be easy. Trust me. The Cardinals might be 1-1 and the 49ers might be 1-1, but we've seen some dominance from them. The NFC West has to deal with the Seahawks, the 49ers, and Cardinals. I think the Rams are going to kind of be on the side this year due to injuries, but this PFF grading shows it's going to be tough. Now, I say this in every video, and I want to make sure you understand. I don't think PFF's the gospel. I just think it's an interesting platform to see statistics and see where people are filling in, what groups are doing well, like our coverage grade's amazing, which we'll get to, what groups are struggling, and what players are showing up statistically in the right way. But it doesn't mean everything. Week 1, the Seahawks had an awful tackling grade. It was like 22nd in the NFL. While at the same time, a Denver sports radio and former Bronco, Mark Schlereth, said it might have been the best tackling performance he's ever seen from a team in his NFL life. So, 2 different perspectives. A former player of the team you're playing, right? Like, he's a Broncos radio host. Broncos former player said the Seahawks just had the best tackling performance he's ever seen in his NFL life, while PFF gave us a very, very low grade. So, like I said, not the gospel, but it is an interesting way to break down and see what these things mean. To me, they become more valuable than a standard power rankings. There are still some power rankings out there, like Pro Football Focus, that put the Seahawks at like 22nd, Mike Florio. I don't see in any world how the Seahawks are below the Bears in that power ranking, below some other teams that have lost 2 games. Power rankings are way more opinion-based, while PFF is statistics, numbers, and the play on the field. So I do like to break them down. So let's look at it. Overall, the Seahawks are number 2 with an 88.1 grade, only behind the 90.1 of the New Orleans Saints. On offense, the Seahawks sit at the 6th best offensive grade in the NFL, a 73.5 offensive grade. The only teams above them, the Saints at 1, 49ers at 2, Cardinals at 3, Vikings at 4, and Bills at 5. Another indication of that the NFC West is going to be a hard division. We have 3 teams in the top 6 in the offenses, and 49ers and Cardinals sit at 2 and 3. In the passing game, credit to Geno Smith, 78.5. They are the 5th best passing grade in the entire NFL. Now, this is where a lot of the question marks come. We will get to Charles Cross specifically because at left tackle, he is having a phenomenal season. He is a phenomenal tackle. He's having the best season out of any tackle in football right now. But the pass blocking grade is not phenomenal. The Seahawks pass blocking grade is 31st in the NFL. Yes, second to last. The only team worse is the Los Angeles Rams. The Seahawks are at a 53.3 pass blocking grade, which is 31st out of 32 teams, while the Rams are at 29.2, which I don't even know how you can be that bad. But you look at that Seahawks grade, it makes you wonder. Geno Smith led the league in passing yards last week without Kenneth Walker as well, without your star running back. And the run game was essentially non-existent. I mean, Zach Charbonnet averaged, I think it was like 2.1 yards per carry or 2.9 yards per carry. And the second last graded pass blocking grade in the NFL, Geno Smith's been elite despite a lot of problems with the offensive line. Not in favor of, not like, oh, he's having a great year because his offensive line's great. A lot of people say that about Brock Purdy. You can put any quarterback in that system behind Trent Williams with his, not right now, but usually with McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and the offensive line. Not right now for Geno. Geno has the second to last, worst or second to worst, whatever, the second worst pass blocking team in the NFL, and he's still playing super well. Our receivers are doing pretty decent with a 67.9 grade at 13th in the NFL. Obviously, there was couple of drops. I think there was 5, 2 by Metcalf, 2 by Njigba, and 1 by Fant, I think, or 2 by Fant and 1 by Njigba, 2 from Metcalf, something like that. So the receiving grade probably gets dropped a little bit because of that. And the run game's at 14th at a 73.6. The run game was interesting because week 1, it was phenomenal with Kenneth Walker. He kept us in the game. This week, Geno Smith kept us in the game, and the run game was awful. So 14 seems about right, almost in the middle of the pack of the NFL. But despite that, the offensive line is doing great in the run blocking game. They are the 6th best run blocking grade in the NFL at a 74.4. So the running backs should have no excuses. Kenneth Walker is going to be great when he gets back. He'll hopefully probably be back this coming week with one of the top 10 run blocking offensive lines in the NFL. Hopefully the offensive line and the pass blocking can figure it out a little bit, and that's going to elevate Geno Smith to an even higher level. Before I get to player grades on the offense and all those different things, I want to talk about the defense. The defense grade, thank you, Mike McDonald, has been phenomenal. The defense has shown out. Yes, they've given up 40 points, but I would say they've really given up 30 points. There was 10 points week 1. 10 out of the 40 we've given up this year. Week 1, 10 of them was on the offense or special teams. We had a fumbled punt that led to a field goal, and it was like a punt at like the 20 or 30. We had a Geno Smith fumble. Geno Smith interception at the 20 or 30 that led to a field goal. Those are 6 points on the offense. And then the offense gave up 2 safeties. Backed up on the 1 or 2 yard line. 2 safeties happened. So that's another 4 points. 10 of those points was not on the defense. So really, if you look at it, the defense probably gave up more like 30 points, which would be top 5 in the NFL. I mean, that would be pretty legit right now. They would be near the top, which would be, 5th. The Saints gave up 29, Vikings 23, Pittsburgh Steelers 16, and Chargers 13. We'd be the 5th least points given up on defense in the entire NFL. And that's why we're sitting at the number 2 grade in the entire NFL on defense at an 86.5. The only team ahead of us, the Chargers, are at 86.7, 0.1 grade above us. So the defense has been stellar. And just to put it in perspective, the Bears defense is number 3. Seahawks at 86.5, Bears at 78.1. So the way that this Seahawks and Chargers defense, quite frankly, new coaches, Jim Harbaugh, Mike McDonald, they're coaching up some elite defense right now. The run defense is number 9 in the NFL. It's not the best part of our defense. Neither is tackling. We'll get there. But we're 9th in the NFL at a 67.6. Can't complain if you're top 10 run defense while you're the number 2 overall defense. No complaints. Tackling, 13th, 59.5. And this one I mentioned earlier in the video. Tackling is, I feel like there's some weird perspective to that, even in grading. Because by the eye test, I saw some phenomenal tackling week 1. Week 2, a little less. But week 1 was phenomenal, and we had an awful grade, and we're still 13th. We're still above the top half of the NFL. So it's not so bad. The pass rush grade is 12th. Also not the best in the world, but it's not bad. We're in the top half of the NFL and in the top third, pretty much, at 68.7. And we're only a few points. I mean, if you get up to 70, you're 8th. So we're just an inch away from being a top 10 pass rush defense graded wise as well. But this is where the defense now all comes together. This is where when you have a top 10 rush defense, you're in the top 12 to 15 in tackling, top 12 to 15 in pass rush, but then you have the number 1 coverage grade in the entire NFL. Shout out the safeties, Wallace, Jenkins, Love. Shout out Witherspoon, Woolen, Trey Brown, all those guys. Witherspoon and Woolen have had phenomenal seasons so far. Witherspoon had a couple mental mistakes last week, but Woolen's been phenomenal. And they're at a 90.6, which is number 1 in the NFL, above the Chargers, above the 49ers, above the Bears, above a lot of teams in coverage. So shout out to the corners, shout out to the safeties. That coverage grade is phenomenal. Teams are struggling to pass on us, and especially given the quarterbacks we've played, we've made it really hard for them to pass on us. I mean, Bo Nix is a rookie. Poor guy had to face that secondary for his first game. Jacoby Brissett's probably like, what the hell am I doing against this secondary? And then this next week, Tua's on the IR now due to his concussions. Knock on wood. I hope he's okay, because that's just scary what's happening to him. But we're playing Skylar Thompson. He's probably not gonna feel great against that secondary or against that defense. So coverage grades high up there, very special, and that's why the defense is the number 2 defense in the NFL. And speaking of special, just a quick shout out to the special teams as well. The final grade here when it comes to team grades. The Seattle Seahawks are number 1 in the entire NFL in special teams at a 90.3, the only team with a grade of 90 or above. Number 2 is the Cowboys at 89.4. And then after that, number 3 is 79.4, the Jets. So the Seahawks are essentially 11 grade points above everyone except for the Cowboys. And they sit at number 1 in special team grades in the entire NFL. But let's get to the offense and defense, because that's what I'm excited about. But before I get there, I quickly want to talk about the Rebet app. It's legal in Washington states for you Seattle or Washington State people. It's legal in 45 or 46 states. So most states that you think it's not legal in, it is. Use promo code ONTAP to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. I have this little tutorial video. You can either sign up through my link or sign up using ONTAP. If you use the link, just make sure when you go to sign up your name and do your verification, it says ONTAP, or you're not going to get a bonus. You need to put a minimum of $10 for the sign up to be complete. So make sure you put in $10. It's real money. You use a pay through Apple Pay. And if you just want to make it easier too, you can just download the Rebet app just straight from your phone. And then you'll see in the tutorial video, you can just type in the code ONTAP manually. Once that's in, if you put $10, you're going to have an extra $10 bonus bet for free. What's cool about this app is it's actually like real betting. Like I bet the Mariners -1 today. You can bet the Seahawks -5.5 coming this week. Spreads, and there's player props. So just like DraftKings, just like other sports books. Make sure you check out the Rebet app and use promo code ONTAP. Link in the description, or make sure you sign up using just the promo code ONTAP when you download the app. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram or Twitter at SammyOnTap. It'd mean the world if you guys sign up. Even if you put $10, it does a lot for us and for the sponsor of this video. So check that out, and I appreciate you guys. Rebet app, promo code ONTAP, or just go straight through the link. Make sure it says ONTAP on the screen, though, when you sign up. And then bet the Seahawks. That's what I'm doing. Rebet, you actually get your real money. When you win, you can pull out the winnings in cash awards. So make sure you do it. Rebet app, promo code ONTAP. Let's talk about the offense. Of course, I'm going to talk about some of the top 5 grades from this last week. At number 1, of course, who other than Geno Smith at an 83.1. Geno Smith was phenomenal, like I said. Like, the man has been phenomenal, despite an offensive line that was in pass blocking a bottom 2 team in the NFL. Number 2, of course, 12 catches, 79.7 grade. Number 2 overall was Jackson Smith-Njigba. Number 3 was Jake Bobo, but he only had 14 snaps. So sometimes I put a minimum on these, but I just wanted to mention Jake Bobo, for the time that he was in the game, a 71.1 put him at 3rd on the offense. Number 4 was Charles Cross at a 70.5. And number 5 was DK Metcalf at a 67.5. And the one other guy I want to talk about who only had 15 snaps at right guard was Christian Haynes, the rookie that we got from UConn in the 3rd round. he was coming in and out for Anthony Bradford, who Anthony Bradford was 8th with a 59.1 grade. Christian Haynes had a 64.7, was number 6 on the entire offense in his 15 snaps. And Mike McDonald said after the game, he probably should have got some more snaps out there to get some better looks at what he's doing. The biggest issue he had an 18.3 grade in pass blocking, but he was phenomenal at a 74.8 in run blocking, which was the highest on the team, even above Connor Williams, the center, who was at a 74.2. So I'd like to see a little more Christian Haynes from next week at right guard, see what he does. I understand they're probably going to do a little bit of both Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes, but even Mike McDonald himself said he probably deserves a little more look there and a couple more snaps. So I hope to see that. To the defense. On the defense, there's a couple guys I want to talk about. The number 1 overall grade was Trevis Gibson at linebacker. He probably was coming in when there were some Jerome Baker injuries. Tyrese Knight came in with some of the Jerome Baker injuries. He only had 7 snaps, but he was at an 81.9, so we might see a little more of him if he played that well. Number 2, Rayshawn Jenkins. I love seeing Rayshawn Jenkins up there, 68 snaps. Man, going from the Julian Love, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams safeties to Rayshawn Jenkins and Julian Love has been phenomenal for this team this year. Jenkins has been great. He had an 80.9 grade, an 82.8 tackling grade, 72.2 coverage grade. Number 2 overall at 80.9. Jenkins has been a phenomenal pickup by the Seahawks. Number 3, a guy that we re-signed this year, Leonard Williams. Also had a pretty decent game last week, a 79.2 grade. He is playing good football. Number 4, linebacker Boye Mafe. I love to see that. Boye Mafe, back-to-back great weeks. He had a 78.8 grade this week. He is becoming elite. 74 grade last week, 78.8 this week. There's a lot of signs that Boye Mafe's speed is different. His attack's different. He looks like he's becoming elite. I hope he ended up playing 50 snaps because he had a little bit of a knee injury at the end of the game. I hope it's nothing serious and he ends up, playing this coming week. But when he's on the field, he's been elite. And then, of course, number 5, Tariq Woolen at a 74.2 grade. Like I mentioned, Tariq Woolen's been pretty elite this year. He's been phenomenal, to say the least. I mean, the guy has been just playing amazing football. There's no way around it. I mean, the guy's just been a phenomenal corner. I think he ranks number 3 overall in the entire NFL in defensive grade at corner. He's at an 84.3 for the season. So to be number 3 in the entire NFL, can't really complain about that. He had a little bit of a down year last year. We all know that. But he's coming back this year, putting himself as a top 3 type of guy in the NFL. And I think it's going to stay that way because that's what Tariq Woolen does. After that, there's a couple guys I like to see there. Jaron Reed had a good game. Derek Hall was number 7. It's good to see Derek Hall, 45 snaps. He's been playing a lot more, and he's been a lot better this year. He's been fun to watch. I mean, he's been someone that's exciting to watch. He did get hurt last year, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a guy that we drafted, looks good, starting to get playing time, and starting to make a real impact on the field. There were some guys of lower grades than I like to see, like Trey Brown, Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, but they've all been really good this year. Julian Love's been phenomenal. Devin Witherspoon's phenomenal. Trey Brown's been all right as a third or fourth corner on the team, so no complaints there. The coverage grades have been phenomenal. Like I said, number 1 defense in the NFL, number 2 defense in the NFL. But overall, all of it's great. You can't complain when you see numbers like that. The one player I want to talk about before I just mentioned the NFC West. I might have said AL West earlier in this video talking about baseball. Mariners are still in a playoff race. But let's talk about blocking grades in the NFL. I mentioned Charles Cross. Charles Cross has been amazing. Overall offensive lineman grades, he's 8th in the NFL at a 90.2. Just a couple grades better in the top 5. But he's at a 90.2 overall in the entire NFL. You heard that right. Entire NFL. And for tackles, he's number 1 in the NFL, above Trent Williams. He's at a 90.2 grade for tackles. Number 1 in the NFL. Next closest is Trent Williams at 85.7. So he's 5 grade points better than any tackle in the NFL this year. Charles Cross, number 1. Like I said, above Trent Williams. That's a big deal for the Seahawks offensive line. In the run blocking game, he is number 2 behind Trent Williams at a 90.7. And in the pass blocking grade, he's at number 8, 81.5. So to be top 2 and then top 8 in run blocking and pass blocking, doesn't get much better than that. Number 1 overall grade in the entire NFL. Last but not least, I want to mention just the NFC West. Pull up the NFC West grades. You have the Seahawks overall, number 1 at 88.1. 49ers at a 82.8. Cardinals at a 76.3. And the Rams at a 60. The Seahawks are, almost 6 grade points above the 49ers. They are looking phenomenal. They're 3rd in offense, but they're playing well. They're number 1 in the pass. They're number 2 in the passing grade. Sorry. Defense, of course, number 1 grade. Coverage, number 1 grade. Run blocking, top 2 in the division. There's a lot to like from what you're seeing from the Seahawks. They are right now, currently, and I know this is still the 49ers division to lose because the 49ers deserve that respect. They've been to multiple Super Bowls, and they keep getting better, but they have some injury bugs hitting them. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, they have some things hitting them. Right now, the Seahawks are playing, and they're graded as the best team in the NFC West, and it's a beautiful sight to see. They're playing great football, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon. Going against Skylar Thompson and the Dolphins next week at home, I expect a win from our Seahawks. I expect this team to go out there and beat that Dolphins team with a backup quarterback. And if so, we're probably going to stay in the top 5 in most rankings when it comes to PFF grading and probably stay atop the NFC West. And in the standings, we are the only 2-0 team, with the 49ers and Cardinals being 1-1 and the Rams being 0-2. So shout out to the Seahawks. Number 1 in the division, number 2 overall in the NFL, number 1 special teams in the NFL, number 2 defense in the NFL. All of it looks great to me, and I can't complain because this is some good Seahawks football. Shout out Mike McDonald, and shout out this team for starting this year off hot. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow or the day after to do a little preview of the Dolphins game, maybe do a video about Charles Cross specifically. So just stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about it all. Let me know in the comments what you want to see next. And make sure you check out the Rebet app, like I mentioned, the sponsor of this video, and use promo code ONTAP. Make sure you get that ONTAP or you're not going to get a free deposit back. You put $50, they're going to give you $50 free bet. You put $10, they're going to give you a $10 free bet. $10 minimum. The more you support me, the more I'll be putting out more videos and I'm able to put out more work once I get some more sponsor work. So I want to be able to do this every single day with you guys. I appreciate you, and like and subscribe if you want to stay tuned on Seahawks football. I love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Peace.